right, guys, today is the day for the Thief open world build. As you can see in the footage playing, the build is Staff Power Daredevil. This build is a combination of a lot of different things that I like quite a bit. Primarily, I like the fact that the build is very easy to gear. I like that the build has a relatively easy DPS rotation to play. And I like the fact that the build has tremendous survivability due to how many dodges and evades it has. And lastly, I really enjoy how well the build deals damage. This is, without a doubt, in my mind, the most powerful open world DPS build. You will do better DPS with this build in the open world than you will with any other build at a meta event. There is simply no build that you can show up to a meta event with and do more DPS with. This is going to be the absolute best. And when I say that, I have played them all and tried them all. And without a doubt, there is nothing that will outdo this. So if the highest DPS build possible in the open world is what you're looking for, this is it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, and hope you like it. All right, guys, so gear for the Power Daredevil is extremely easy. We're going to go with Berserkers in every slot, and Mighty Infusions if you're in the Infusion game. And then as far as the rune set, we want to use Superior Rune of the Scholar. As you might be aware, Scholar Rune is going to generally be your highest DPS rune for power-based classes, and it's no different for this one. As far as weapons go, we want a staff and a short bow. Your staff should have force and impact. They are the two best sigils. Now you might say, well, why the short bow? It's not using the rotation, but what's important about this is since you only need the one weapon as part of your rotation, you don't swap, you can build up bloodlust stacks with your short bow and then have the bloodlust stacks on your staff set. There's quite a lot of opportunity to build up bloodlust when you're doing meta events. And additionally to that, the short bow is your best bet as far as tagging goes because you can drop the poison field, you can use cluster bomb, and even the auto attack tags a lot of mobs. So I'm a big fan of having the short bow on swap with a bloodlust sigil because it's basically, especially for Auric Basin meta or Thunderhead Keep or even Tangled Depths, it's very easy when you're ferrying into the map when you're ferrying in but before the event starts to quite easily build up the bloodlust stacks before things kick off, and you have, hey, a free 250 power, which is very close to a 10% damage buff. So can't emphasize enough the importance of bringing the short bow. But the again, if you can only afford one weapon or you're doing this on a budget, then just go with the staff and get the impact and the force. But yeah, again, the gear's very easy. All Berserker, Scholar Runes, all Mighty Infusions if you're doing Infusions, and a staff with impact and force. So that's it. Let's talk traits. All right, guys, so for traits, we're going to take Deadly Arts, Critical Strikes, and Daredevil. Of course, it goes without saying that this is exactly the same setup as the meta build. I believe the meta build for raids uses revealed training because there's certain raid fights where you get revealed for a long length of time, and it's basically just free power in those fights. You could arguably take revealed training in the open world and just hope to get stealth from a stolen skill or for someone around you. But by and large, I think you'll enjoy Panic Strike a bit more, especially if you're solo roaming, because you can immobilize and put distance between you and a foe. But anyway, that's kind of a long discourse, but suffice to say, this is very similar to the raid meta setup, and the reason for that is the raid meta setup is designed to do the maximum amount of damage, and this build is also designed to do the maximum amount of damage. So that's why they are one in the same. So in Deadly Arts, we take Dagger Training for free 80 power. Even though we're not using daggers, you still get 80 power out of the deal. Panic Strike, again, it does a little bit of damage to the foe with poison, but it also helps with the immobilize, which can come in handy. And then Executioner, which is just a beefy damage increase once you hit that threshold. Critical Strikes, we're going to take Twin Fangs. Twin Fangs is a crit damage increase and a crit chance increase. You want to always get the 7% crit chance increase by hitting a foe from behind or from the sides as much as you can. Sometimes that's not entirely possible. There's certain bosses like Shaq Garrett where I would not advise trying to get behind the boss because it's a danger zone where his tail will hit you. But then there's other situations like the Octovine where you always count as flanking. When you are fighting the Octovine, no matter where you're standing or where you hit it from, you count as flanking. So it is sometimes very easy to do this, sometimes very hard, and it is still the way to go. Ankle Shots gives you a 5% damage increase when fighting crippled foes. At a meta event, you can be fairly certain that every foe you're going to fight is crippled, because with 20 or 30 people in squad, there's going to be just enough cripple around that whatever you're fighting is perma-crippled. If, for whatever reason, you weren't confident in your ability to get crippled mobs and you were going to, such as solo roaming through the open world, you might prefer Practice Tolerance because this Practice Tolerance is always on and you always get the stats, whereas Ankle Shots, you only get the bonus 5% damage against crippled mobs. Again, at meta events and in raids, the target's going to be perma-crippled no matter what. But when you don't have the ability to make sure he's perma-crippled, maybe Practice Tolerance is the way to go. And then at GM, we are going to take No Quarter, which gives you fat bonus to Ferocity when you have Fury, and it also will extend the duration of Fury on you. What you'll find is even when you're solo, this build has very close to 100% Fury uptime, so it's a pretty great trait. In Daredevil, we're going to take Havoc Master. It's a simple DPS increase to foes that are close to us. Very simple, straightforward. Staff Master is going to give us a 5% damage increase while wielding a staff always, and then another 5 if our endurance is not full, which is something that will come into play when we talk about the DPS rotation. And then the Grandmaster, we're going to take Bounding Dodger, which makes your dodge do damage and also gives you a damage boost after you complete your dodge. So all things considered, the build has tons of internal built-in synergies with the traits that you could pick up on, and we'll discuss the skills. As far as heal skill go, Signet of Malice, pretty good. It gives you pretty decent sustain. You don't want to sit there and face tank damage and hope to out-heal it, because you won't. But staff hits very, very quickly, so you can heal yourself from like half health to full health very quickly with Signet of Malice. It's really good. As far as elite skills, these will change depending on the situation you're in. Thieves Guild is your go-to for damage. If all you care about is getting the maximum damage out possible, you go with Thieves Guild. If you do need CC, feel free to switch to Basilisk Venom. If you're doing like a fight, particularly a tough open world champ with like 4 or 5 people around, Basi Venom to break the break bar is going to be very helpful. So be sure to bring that if need be. Now, the bread and butter are your utility skills. We take Assassin's Signet, which is going to give a massive damage increase when we activate it. I believe it is, 15% when we activate it? Or increase power. I thought it was, oh yeah. So it used to be percentage based, but now it increases your power to 540. Signet of Agility is going to give us 180 precision. We're very rarely going to activate that, only in an emergency where you needed it not to die. But for the most part, you're just keeping it there for the passive precision. And then Fist Flurry is a DPS increase for us. So we want to use Fist Flurry as part of our rotation that we'll talk about. As far as these utility skills go, you almost never want to swap them out. If I was in a tough situation where I needed to bring something else, the first thing that I would switch out would probably be Assassin's Signet. Although you could make the argument for Fist Flurry. I haven't actually looked at any math to see which one adds more DPS to your build. But those are one of those two I would switch out. Like, say you needed to bring Shadow Refuge for whatever reason, that would be those would be the ones that I would switch out. So that's it for skills. We'll talk a little bit about the rotation, and then we will go from there. All right, a couple things to keep in mind for the Daredevil rotation is that you want to get your most burst in during Assassin's Signet, and also while you have your Bounding Dodger buff up. So a lot of what we do is meant to maximize the amount of damage that we get in when Assassin's Signet is up. You're going to always dodge before Weakening Charge because it's your highest DPS skill. And when you activate Assassin's Signet, you're going to do it right after a dodge, and you're going to do it so that you can get 3 Weakening Charges in and Fist of Fury at the same time. So we're packing all of our our best DPS skills into the Assassin's Signet and Bounding Dodge window. So we start by pre-dodging to lower our endurance a little bit, and then we dodge to engage to get our buff. Activate Assassin's Signet, Weakening Charge 3 times while the Assassin's Signet is up, and then Fist of Fury will land while we have all of our buffs up. Then we're going to auto attack chain twice, and the easiest way to keep track of your auto attack chains is the long channeled bar, because you know that's the third attack in the chain. When that's over, you're going to dodge and Weakening Charge. So you do 2 auto attack chains, dodge, Weakening Charge. So after that Weakening Charge, we're going to go back and do 2 more auto attack chains. Dodge, Weakening Charge. And then 2 more auto attack chains, and then you'll see that our Assassin's Signet and Fist of Flurry will be coming up. So we'll be able to get our burst again. And you'll see we're going to get our burst in. We dodge, Assassin's Signet, Weakening Charge 3 times. And then we're going to get the Fist of Fury in. And then we go back and do our double auto attack chain again. Weakening Charge. Double auto attack chain again. Dodge. Weakening Charge. Double auto attack chain. The double auto attack chain is very easy in practice to tell because of that long channel bar. Then look, our skills are off cooldown again. We will then begin our burst. Assassin's Signet, weakening charge 3 times. And then Fist of Fury. And then we go back into the auto attack chain. So you guys can kind of get an idea of how this plays. You can just loop all of that endlessly. It doesn't take a lot of practice to get used to it. And once you have, it's very easy and effective to play in the open world. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. All right, guys. So for food, I know many of you open world guys do not use food when you're in the open world, but there are those of you who do. So I thought I would at least mention it. As I make this video, the optimal food is bowl of sweet and spicy butternut squash soup. With Banner of Discipline and Spotter and Fury, you will get to 100% crit chance with this. However, there is a balance patch coming up that is going to nerf Banner of Discipline. And when that happens, the optimal food will become truffle steaks. If you are in the truffle steak market, I would save some money by going to Bitter Frost Frontier and getting the recipe for steaks with winterberry sauce. And they are functionally the exact same as truffle steaks, except you get 30% bonus magic find, which is whatever. But the end result is that these are a little bit cheaper. And after the balance patch hits on, I think it's the 4th of March, these will be the optimal food. And in fact, you can use these already in the open world, because the amount of times that you have Banner of Discipline and Spotter, even at meta events, is pretty low, since a lot of people don't play with Spotter when they play Ranger in open world meta events, because they're not watching my videos, by the way. This food is almost never going to be wasted. The times where you have Spotter and Banner of Discipline is nice, and in that case, sweet and spicy butternut's going to be better. But these days, you're not always going to have that, so don't feel bad about investing in winterberries now before the patch and using this food, because it's optimal 99% of the time. And after the patch on Tuesday, March 4th or 5th, whatever it is, it will be optimal in every situation. Then the utility consumable, I would always suggest potent sharpening stones for this build. So with that said, guys, that is it for this build. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. This is, again, without a doubt, the highest damage open world build that you can play. No build at a meta event will do more damage than this. You can argue with me in the comments below if you like, but I've done a fair share of meta events, and when everyone's fully buffed and all things are equal, this is the highest damage build in the open world. So if that is the type of thing that makes you excited, playing high damage open world builds, then this is the one for you. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Hit me up in the comments below if you have any questions or any comments, and I'll see you next time.